Evening.
Yes, people, we're live. Best blog about in the building. I'm with Mr. Kester Charles Bay, Councillor of Woodley Town. How you doing, my friend?
I'm good, brother. I'm good. Just driving at the moment, so I'm going to do as much as I can as we go along.
Excellent, man. Thank you for participating today. This is kind of like a different type of interview because usually my focus is on like lifestyle, but we do community as well. And this is probably like my first community interview today, so I'm kind of looking forward to this, man. To tap into what the life is like, daily life of a councillor. And as you can see, road, so obviously you're quite a busy man. But I just want our audience just tell us about yourself, Kester. How did you become a councillor and stuff like that for the audience and for the youngsters out there?
Right. First of all, I was in charity work and helping young, say Moorish or Nubian brothers who sometimes labelled as black, which we're not black. But that's how it came about. And a friend of mine was in the Labour Party. I said, Kester, you're doing charity anyway. Do you want to give us a hand in this campaign? I thought, okay, yes, that's fine. So whilst I was doing that and charity, we also do a lot of work with the Moorish Science Temple in America, where they do a lot of education on our history, our prophets, and our code of conduct, how we live. So, okay, we're going to bring that into Labour as I'm going around. So, because I found 5 principles, I love truth, peace, freedom, and justice as a guideline, as a Moorish American Sufi Muslim, that's how we create our lives. So, whilst helping the Labour Party, knocking doors and asking people what they think, there wasn't many people of African descent or so-called Caribbean that had anybody looking like you and I to actually go on a public stage and ask the questions that people want to ask, but aren't maybe afraid to ask, to know how to approach local government and get things started. So that was my impetus to try and help out.
Interesting how you combine your faith and a collection of wanting to help the black community, so to speak, as well. Can you tell us, has there been any challenges along the way?
Yeah, so the last challenge, because I went away to St. Lucia before the election last year, and I thought I said to myself and my wife, I'll be happy if I got 10 votes. But when I was at St. Lucia, I got a call from one of the secretaries saying, Kester, you've won. I said, what do you mean I've won? He said, you've won, you've been elected. So it was a bit of a shock. I thought, okay, it's happened. There must be a lot of people who want to vote and speak think about the things I felt strongly about. So that was a good indication that there was a gap of someone looking like me and you to actually be in the political arena. And I think having the faith side of it, as we look at the Islamic faith, and there's so many Sufis, Sunnis, Ahmadiyya, different decrees of Islam. There were a lot of Islamic people in my area, some Pakistan, Hindustan, Sri Lanka, Shalani Moors, and it was I think them who actually made a bid to get me involved, because I was the only councillor on the doorstep willing to talk about Gaza and what's actually happening and why it's happening. So I think the faith and how you live and how your principles come across is in a way political, but it's geopolitical, so we have to look at all aspects of it.
Interesting. Sorry, I got cut off there. I don't know how I got cut off, but it just cut off connection. So let's delve into like the real crust of the thing. So what's your stance on, you know, say educational knife crime? Let's start with education first.
I think education, the way it's done in the UK, is more of an indoctrination system, whereas only one narrative has been taught by the schools, and they ignore the regional cultures and historical impetus that made Europe as popular or as powerful as it is. Because every nation had a dynasty and an empire, and in order for the UK to have a British Empire, they had to defeat the Moorish Empire.
Interesting. Do you wanna? So,
I mean, the last bastion of power of the Moors was in Spain, when it used to be called Andalusia, and then when we lost power in Spain, the Alhambra was the last palace of the Moors, and in order for Ferdinand and Isabella to take over, they had to dress in Moorish garments to receive the keys of the palace, and they then changed the name to Spain from Andalusia. And now Andalusia is only small parts of Spain, when once it used to be called Andalusia completely.
interesting. So, how do you feel that you can integrate your faith with the education system in the UK?
I think that bringing forth your natural ability to do good. I always say from the great God Allah gives you the spirit to do good. It's only when you're educated or taught differently through different doctrines that human beings don't matter and your feelings don't matter. Because children are taught to be prejudicial or so-called racist. They're not born with that capacity. So that's where we have to tell our children about the historical achievements of language, etymology, our Latin, Arabic, our Urdu, and how around the world that was us leading people in science and medicine. And that gives you a feeling of belonging and being proud of something. They often start the education with so-called slavery, not prisoners of war, because no one went willingly to do that sort of thing. And they miss out different cultures that were responsible for our POW enslavement in some parts of the world. We can go on forever for that. That's long subject.
Well, do you know what? I'm here to be educated, so you know, obviously, you know, we're having an interview, so we have to kind of limit the time. But in terms of like, and this is very serious, because just because you don't hear about it in the news every day doesn't mean that there's not a continuum of this occurring. What is your stance, or what is your feelings on knife crime, especially between black people?
I think that the knife crime is a defense mechanism in some communities for what's going on. If there's a fear in a community, then there's a need for people to think they have to be armed and not think about the community, how the community is working or interacting. Years ago, my parents were alive. We would have had a community centre, youth centres. We would have had get-togethers, and everyone would know each other. So the thought of you going out and do something to someone who's related to you, a friend or family, would be absurdity. But if you're doing it for gain, where you belong to a certain group, and that group wants you to do certain things for crime benefits. If, for instance, some people are going to college and they've been asked to take their college account and put money from crime into their college account. There's lots of different pressures that we're hearing about in and outside the council. That's just one thing. Without going to blaming drug gangs and drugs and loose women and loose men, there's a deeper thing of loving of self that stops you from realizing that you're hurting. When you hurt somebody who looks like you and you're hurting yourself, and that ricochets how the community is seen by others. And that's what we have to change.
So what would you say to a young me that's, you know, been pressured? I've gone into a gang, you know, I'm starting to carry knives, I'm starting to, like, you know, integrate with my gang, and they're telling me to do things. And, you know, Councillor Kester, you stop me on the road, and, you know, I'm going out to do some harm to someone because they've done me wrong. What would you say to a young me?
Well, I would say to you that anything that's happened, time will heal that. However you feel, time will heal that. And I will have all resources and friends and families to make sure that you're not going to go out on the road. Even if you have to watch you or phone you 5 minutes, or stay at my house for half an hour until you calm down and talk about the root cause of what happened and who you're associating with. So, giving you a glimpse of the future of different paths you can take. When you come to controlling you where you are, I would say the faith of Islam is one of the purest faiths you can get, done properly, impure, and just reading the Quran or going to an imam and speaking to him, or speaking to somebody in your family who's not necessarily faithful, but they have a good moral standing, and they're not associated with gangs, or they have been, and they've got experience how to get out of the gang. So it has to be multifaceted. It can't be just one thing.
Interesting. So, how do you see governments moving in the future? Because we've got a lot of AI technology taking over now. A lot of people typically, you know, are losing their jobs. A lot of people on universal credit. You know, you must get, you know, people, you know, I don't know, in your area that, you know, are suffering. They have nothing, you know, they're struggling for food, money. How do you see the government tackling these issues in the near future?
I don't think the government wants to tackle issues, because they want to have I call it a social system similar to China. We have social credit, so you control on what you can buy, who you associate with, and what sort of things you buy. And if you get paid from company A and company B knows you associate with company A and not familiar or don't like each other, they can stop your credit from working in any store they want. So it's always up to the people to put pressure on the government to change. It's up to the people.
Interesting. So, wow, it's been really interesting, this interview so far, man. I'm kind of like, the questions are just flowing at the moment.
That's good.
I wanted to find out from yourself, are you involved in any projects, you know, at the moment?
Yeah, at the moment we're involved in a couple of projects. There's the development of the Moorish Holy Science Temple. There's the development of the Moorish Science Islamic Council. There's also the development abroad of the Grenadian Moorish Farmers Association, which we've got 4 members so far and building. We're looking at youth services now to try and educate schools. And our last project is working with the police on a community agreement how and when to approach Moorish children or people of African descent on a contract that is an obligation contract both ways. And if they break that contract, they're being breached of breaking that contract, which should be legally binding. So the police always say they have no community contact, but when we get this contract together, they will have people in the community they can call on, and we will have the influence on the police not to presume that the people they're picking up or talking to associate with crime.
Interesting. Okay, so how do you see how do you see a future in which, you know, our community, the Black community, obviously, you know, can work with each other? And I'm talking about in terms of businesses, enterprises, you know, because a lot of black people, yeah, from my experience, they don't want to help each other, you know, in terms of businesses and building up each other. Like what we're doing today is very rare because I'm interviewing you today. You know, some people look at it and think, do you know what? Yeah, I'd rather go and, you know, interview some famous person and, you know, rather do that, you know, some hip hop guy, you know, who's spitting nonsense in the community. I'm actually interviewing someone that is part of the community, that's doing something positive in the community, you know. So how do you think the black community can actually get stronger, whether they're Muslim, whether they're non-Muslim, and how do you think we can work together better as a community?
I think some of that basically is we call it the conversation. And the conversation has to be had on what do you want to see, and how can we help our children and grandchildren apply for funding that most communities take for granted and always apply for every year to build up their communities. I
Wow.
think we need to share what's going on because every government has a fund for a community. It's in their constitution. Every council has
Really?
a constitution. Yeah, they have a
I
constitution.
didn't know about this.
Yeah, for instance, with Reading Council, they have a fund for Reading Carnival.
Right.
And when that fund is not spent, i.e., the people haven't got together and planned it, that fund goes somewhere else. So somebody else can apply for that funding. And every
Wow.
year, that funding grows. And there's people I know who have funding, they get regular funding, but it's under black something, and then it goes up, disappears. So they have one event that apply for, say, £10,000, and it only costs them £3,000 to put it on. So where's the rest of the money go? That's a selfish way of doing things. And this is where we have the council trying to see where we can work with council on the applications, because we're the lowest people applying for funding compared to other communities, other nationalities, the Polish, the Pakistanis, the Indians, and so forth. There can't be one or two of us doing dancehall and getting all the money for it and not benefiting the community.
Wow. Wow. This is interesting stuff, man. This is so I understand obviously you're Grenadian, passionate Grenadian, I would say, and there's not a lot of people that know this. You've got some form of family relation to Malcolm X. Is that correct?
Yes, yeah. Malcolm X's mother, her mother was my great granny's sister. So related that way. I didn't find out until 8 years ago when my auntie came over, and I was doing a so-called Black History poster, and I had Malcolm in front of it, and I said, "Oh, I didn't know you were an activist." I said, "Oh, it's not an activist. I'm just doing Black History Month." And she started clicking her fingers. I said, "What's wrong?" She said, "Oh, your cousin moved to America, and they shot him." And she's clicking her fingers. And I said, "Okay, who's that? Never heard the thing mentioned before." And I goes, "Oh, Martin Luther King," jokingly. And she goes, "No." And I said, "Well, Malcolm X." She goes, "Yes." And from that minute,
Wow.
I started crying. I couldn't stop crying for about a good half an hour. Because I used to own a bar as well. So in my bar, you walk in, and the side was Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. Not having any idea of any sort of family connection. And we had a reunion in June in Grenada with the Family Foundation. And we did a UK foundation as well over here, which has been set up. But yeah, we like to do the work, and it's obviously El Haj Malik Shabazz is mentioned, formerly called Malcolm X, is something I would mention, but it shouldn't be something I want to say, well, yeah, this is my cousin, follow me because he's my relation. It should be based on what we can do, and if that comes up, it's a similar vein to what he was doing before he was assassinated.
So, any final words? Where people can reach out to you. Any Instagram, any social media, anything like that, where people can reach out to you and if they want to contribute?
Yeah, I mean, anyone's welcome to contribute on any level. There's lots of volunteer work to be done. We've got lots of merchandise to do as well to promote our history and educational forms. Anyone who's been in teaching or out teaching, anyone who wants to teach, anyone who thinks they can help, everyone's welcome to message me on Instagram, Facebook, Messenger, those sort of things. And if that's fine communication, and we can go further and exchange emails and phone number, etc., etc. But if they're willing to do something, I'm willing to help them, because we can't. Nobody on their own. It has to be a community.
Excellent. So yeah, what I will do, I will put obviously your social media and your contacts in the description after this interview. And yeah, if you want to reach out to Kester Charles Bay, then please reach out to him, because he's doing bits in the community, and these type of guys are these are the guys, the heroes that don't, the superheroes that don't wear capes, because they go about their business quietly, and you know what, yeah, they're doing a lot of stuff in the community. And obviously, if you want to contribute and you want to be involved, make sure you get in contact with him. But yeah, it's been a great interview today. I hope you arrived to your destination safely, and hopefully, I don't know, 6 years, not 6 years, 6 months, I don't know, a few months' time, a year, we'll have another interview, sit down, maybe face to face, who knows? And we'll see how the journey's going.
Yep, that would be good. That would be good, good brother. That would be good. Because we need to keep in contact. Because everyone I meet, I'm trying at least get in contact with them once a month, because everyone has busy lives and so forth. So
Definitely.
It's good just to touch space now and again, because you never know who's in need. You never know who has a bright idea and needs a bit of support.
Exactly. Someone could be sitting there with the best idea that they know, but they haven't got the support, they haven't got the the network to get that idea out. And this is what Kester is looking to do. But make sure you guys make sure you subscribe to the blog, you press the like button, and make sure you share it as well, because that's what we are, we're a community that shares. So Kester, I bid you farewell, and it's been excellent talking to you today.
Okay. As I say,
Peace.
Assalamu alaikum. Peace and love.